Are you ready to shatter the limits that have held you back and become the HERstory maker you were born to be? Let's show you how when we return. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Making of a Mompreneur show. I am your host, Rasheeda Green, the CEO of Get Right Coaching, the host of the Mompreneur HQ community, and the creator of the Digimonpreneur Academy, where we help moms to start, grow, and scale online businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. And we do that through content, community, um, what else we do? Coaching, courses, and of course through the Digimonpreneur Academy. So if you are joining us live, make sure you drop a hashtag live in the comments. Let us know where you're watching us from, whether that be Texas, New Jersey, North Carolina. Let us know so that we can get an idea of how far the reach is for the Mompreneur HQ show. And if you have to be watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, comment, and subscribe. Maybe even hit that bell so that you get notified every time we release an episode. And that we do that on a weekly basis. So make sure you're checking in, tuning in, make sure you're following us so that you get alerted when we drop a new video, blog, or Making of a Mompreneur show episode. All right. So, question. I already asked the question. Today, we are actually going to be talking about Shatter the Limits, empowering mompreneurs to create her story. And why are we talking about that today? Because it's Women's History Month. And I'm challenging you to step into your power and rewrite your legacy. Have you ever felt that your potential is being boxed in or suffocated by self doubt, hectic schedules, or the everyday chaos of mom life? We're going to break those chains together. And to start this show off, we're going to do it a little bit different because we're talking about Women History Month. There are so many trailblazers out there. There are so many people who have actually stepped out of their own comfort zones, afraid, but still doing it to then find success. And today's show, I had to remind myself that I have created my own history as well. And so that I want to go ahead and share a little about myself on this Women History Month. So when I started my career, I was in retail and I was making hot dogs. And I'm going to tell you, I love the Super Burger at Nathan's Famous. And that was where I worked in the mall. And so I had hot dogs and burgers almost every day. That's one of the things about working in retail. You kind of find yourself spending your money in the retail that you're working in. So you always have to think about working opposite of what you actually like. But meanwhile, at the ranch, that was how I started out in retail. And once I went to college, I decided I was going to, I was invited to intern at a brokerage firm and through a parent program that they had. If you had a child that was in college, they would consider you first for this program. And so since my mother worked there, I was invited to work at the firm. And so I started that in college. And I was very respectable and mannerable and intelligent. And they asked me to come back on winter break. Now, winter break was literally just 30 days, but they were like, hey, since you already know what we do, it would be great to have that extra help during the holidays when our team members are on vacation. So they invited me to Christmas. So now I'm working in the summertime and then I'm working also in the wintertime. So not to say that I was bankrolling as a college student, but I definitely had a couple of coins to help me out and get me through the semester. So that was wonderful. But then after I graduated, I found myself returning back. Now I did try. I went away to school, but I did try to get a job outside of my hometown because I just wanted to be away. I wanted to get away. But you know what? I had a promising job lined up for me because my internship really wanted me to come back and work full time. And that's what I did. And so straight out of college, 21, 21 years old at the time, going on 22. And I started working with the brokerage firm. And I was inside the vault. That's where, if you've ever bought or sold stock. Believe it or not, it used to be physical, where you actually got it in the mail and with your name on it, like a certificate and a seal and all that good stuff. And so that was the department that I worked in. And I used to do various things like research, where I had to research some of the companies that issued these certificates that kind of dropped off the planet and nobody knew what they were, but we had them in our vault. So we had to confirm, like, is this real? Is anybody going to pay this out? So I did that. I also did legal examination. So literally, I was the one that would confirm whether or not the name on the front of the certificate actually matched the signature. And if it didn't, I got to put a little stamp on it, say rejected. Or if it was in the name of a parent, for the benefit of the child, but the child signed it, even though the child is adult, that's still questionable. So I had to do this type of examination. I also did stampings if a certificate, just like a check, is written out to your bank. For instance, if you have to pay a credit card bill, you write a check to the bank. Oh, do you still write checks? Anyway, you write a check to the bank and the bank has to then stamp their business info on it so they can cash the check. It was the same thing with certificates. And if there were certificates that came through that didn't have signatures or were issued to the name of the corporation, we put the stamp on it and send it out. So I did a lot of that work and for the brokerage firm, and I enjoyed it, had fun. But I had a knowledge base that was useful outside of what I was doing at the time. But that knowledge base that I built working in all those various departments as an intern, because each year, I did a different thing here, a different thing there. I had different projects. I, took on different roles. So it helped me to build a knowledge base that was very useful in customer service. I spent the majority of my career in customer service about I want to say about 12 years, but I told you I got in there from my position as a intern. When I became full time, it only took me 2 years to go and get into the customer service group, in which I ended up moving swiftly because of my knowledge base um, to supervisor. And I was a lead and then a supervisor. And so I moved through that pretty quickly. And then next thing you know, I had a team. My team got as large as up to 16 people. And I am I was excited about that. I had people that were older than me, but the truth of the matter is that I was pretty young. I was about 23, 24 years old running a customer service team. So that was exciting for me. And that was my own personal history that I was making. And then that was customer service. But then at age 24, again, I told you I got out of college 21 and at 21 years old, but that was the same year I turned 22. So all of this is happening somewhat at the same time. And at 24, I had the honor and privilege of serving as the youngest president of my local sorority chapter. And I would even say that I was likely the youngest president in the entire region, because that was just not normal. There are levels to this thing, which with everything. And for me, coming out of school and then just going into my graduate chapter at the time and really just showing up and working hard because that's what I know to do, and was then elected to be the president. And I had turned 25 by the time installation. So it was an enormous feat, but something that I was really proud of. And again, I was making my own history. And even with that, I was 25 years old. I did 2 terms. I even came back and finished a term for someone else, um, and really established my local chapter on a bigger scale, and helped to develop programs in the community that had not been there before, built relationships in the community that had not been there before. And I am, as I tell you this, when I tell you as these things are happening, I am not phased. I am not impressed. I am not like, ooh, I'll pop my collar. I'm doing it was none of that. It is only retrospectively as I was preparing for this episode that I thought about, wow, I've done some things that I really don't even talk about. And most recently, I've returned back to work. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I have. I've mentioned it before. But I've returned back to work in 2023 as an intern. Go figure. I was an intern for a program that was actually a DE&I program that took into account that there are talented people out there in the workforce that don't get a job because they're the space, the gap, the time in between their previous job. People look at that and say, oh, they're not experienced. Oh, the gap is too long. Oh, they would take too much to refresh them and get them caught back up. Oh, they have stale knowledge. All of these things because the gap in the dash in the history, right? In the work history. That was me. I was home for nearly 10 years when somebody informed me of an opportunity to do an internship and through this DEI program called Glide Relaunch. And I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't really looking to go back to work, but hey, why not? And I absolutely loved the opportunity, love the flexibility because it was, part-time remote. I love the pay. I loved the team that I was working on because guess what? It ended up being now we're actually customer service. So that's hilarious. But it wasn't initially. We kind of did a couple of process and evaluation moves and so forth. And it just ended up that the one who hired me is now in charge of the customer service or now contact center. And so I actually get to work back in customer service after a 10-year break and a 15-year career. But yeah, so that is the story of how I got to my current position in 2023 as an intern after being hired full time, because of course your girl, and mind you, this is all me talking after the fact. I was not like, yes, of course, when I was in the position, okay, when I was seeking for the position. But once I got the position full time, let me just tell you that I have currently earned two promotions in under 2 years. You heard me when I said I started as an intern in 2023 and then was hired full time. But yes, I have now earned two promotions in under 2 years and now serve as a senior assistant vice president in my firm. So I'm now focused, and I didn't tell, I don't tell anybody about this. This is just not, I don't brag about this. Actually, it was my husband that who posted it first. And I was like, I didn't even tell anybody about that. Why are you telling people about it? And he was like, that's not my business why you ain't tell nobody. But I'm proud of my wife. And, I had to think about that. Wait, I have, as we're talking about as I was thinking about what to talk about, I have accomplished quite a few things as far as history for myself. And now I'm focused on making my mark in the digital product creation and marketing arena. And if I can break the mold, guess so can you. I got my money business breakthrough coaching certification. I have a career, not career. I have another coaching certification that I'm about to chop it all up. But basically, I earned these coaching certifications. I've started a business 2020, and now we have a whole team and we are looking to expand and explode. So as we're talking about things for Women History Month, I just gave you a whole deep dive of Rasheeda and the history that I have made for myself, not so that, you know, that somebody else would be like, oh, you did such a great job. You're such a wonderful person. But just to recognize for myself. And that's something that I don't give myself a lot of credit for. So if you're a type of person who doesn't have a smile file, I know I've talked about this before, make sure that you have one. A smile file is a file that you keep on your folder, in a folder somewhere, on your computer, on a disk, whatever it is, something to remind you of the successes and accomplishments that you've achieved, so that when you feel like I haven't done enough, that you look through that Rolodex of smile files and say, okay, I've actually done some great things. I would love to do more, but not, I haven't done anything and I'm just worthless and I can't, smile file, pull it out and smile about something that you've accomplished. All right. So now we've talked about me. We've gotten an idea of what women in history are doing out there. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, some big old fantastical NASA engineer type thing. But what have you done that you can say is a true accomplishment? As we talk further, about shattering the limits and empowering mompreneurs to create her story. Then one of some traits that we want to talk about is, to start with, is resilience. Ask yourself, when life knocks you down, do you have the grit to rise again? History makers are defined not by their failures, but how fiercely they bounce back. Is that you? I talked about early in my career how I faced steep learning curves and obstacles that seemed unsurmountable, and that being insurmountable, and that being my age. I was fresh out of college. Who am I to be supervising a team of people at 24 years old? You know, I managed to get through it. I had some people who might have reported me to HR for a thing or two because, hey, I was young. But what happened is I overcame that. I learned from that, and that's how resilience works. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And today I want you to remember that every challenge is just a stepping stone to your greater success. So don't let it stump you. Go ahead and share in the comments below one moment when you turned a setback into a comeback, and let us celebrate you. Let us celebrate you. Go ahead and tell us about how you overcame a challenge. Another one that we want to talk about is vision. So what is the future you see for yourself? Do you have a vision for your future? History makers have a clear picture of where they want to go, even if the path isn't fully mapped out. We're not going to be stagnant. We're going to keep moving. And you always want to have a clear vision of what success looks like for you. But for me, it was leading a team at work. It was serving my community. It was showing up and doing my best and succeeding at whatever I do. And that vision of success did not mean senior assistant vice president. That wasn't even in my purview. It was about doing the best that I can. And the fact is, when people recognize your work and recognize what you're doing, the right people will lift you up. They will push you up. So that's mentors, that's coaches, that is people who are going to encourage you and even connect you to the right people. So the vision has to guide you in every decision that you make. For me, it was my early days in customer service, and then to my 360 or 180 into leadership roles here at my current firm. So when you can see your destination, every small victory becomes a part of your legacy. And so if you don't already have a pen, paper, or digital device, make sure that you get that and then jot down one big goal that really excites you. What does that vision look like? Type a word or two in the chat if you're ready to dream big. And you can tell us what your dream is so that we can again cheer you on and encourage you. Or you can just put in there dream big. Like, I intend to dream big. I'm not going to sell myself short. I'm not going to think small, be limited by my own thoughts. I am going to dream big because I have a vision for my life, a vision for my future, a vision for my family, a vision for my business, and I'm about to make moves. All right. Another characteristic of those who making history and making moves in 2025 is courage. Now, I mentioned this before. Are you bold enough to step outside of your comfort zone? The comfort zone is comfortable for a reason. You're relaxed, you're chilling, you're not doing much or nothing, right? But you want to get outside of your comfort zone and be challenged and do those stretch projects and have those stretch goals. And so, in order to do that, you can't play it safe. You can't play it safe. In order to be a history maker or a herstory maker, you have to take some risks. Now, re-entering the workforce in 2023 was a bold move for me. I took risks that propelled me into new opportunities. I mean, maybe when I think about it, maybe it wasn't a risk because I was a stay-at-home mom. And maybe, and you know what? Now that I think about it, that may have been why it was easier for me to interview, because I was initially so scared, so scared. Oh my gosh, I haven't been to work in 10 years. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to say. But it was a bank, and it was a brokerage firm, and I knew brokerage to the extent that whatever question they asked me about talking to people and about my past, I could answer those questions. And then for me, the risk was that I wouldn't get the job, but I was already home and I was already coaching. So it was almost like I had said to myself, what's the worst that could happen? And so even with taking risks, think about it. What is the worst that can happen? Go ahead and embrace the risk. Each leap of faith is truly a step closer to the future that you deserve, the future that you want, and really making this things happen. So make sure you have the courage, and it takes a lot to build it up. That's not something that's easy to do. Because believe me, I'm not jumping off no skyscrapers no time soon because I'm scared. And I'm that's half scared and half just doesn't make sense. Just makes sense not to jump off a skyscraper. It just makes sense, right? I want you to think about one risk you've been hesitant to take, whether that be to go to start a new project, to coach a new client, to set up your website. Because for me, I know that is definitely something I was hesitant about. And it is imposter syndrome most of the time. Who am I to do this? Who am I to start this business? Why would they listen to me? And so you stop doing something, you stop promoting, you stop going into groups and introducing yourself because you're scared that if they find out that you're just starting out in your business, that they're going to not like you. No, it's opposite. Sometimes what you do is people find out that you're just starting out, and they empathize and they decide to help you and give you a helping hand. And I do have a person who is like that in my coaching life, a former coach. And she is definitely one of those supporters who are like, I see you. I see what you're doing. I know where you're trying to go. I have some resources I can help. And, I love her for that. Shout out to Miss Stephanie Treasure. If you don't already know, she's in our community and she's always very vocal about her business and opportunities to help people. So thank you, Stephanie. But for you, who is that person? Think about one risk that you've been hesitating about and what might change if you embrace the leap. So remember I said, what do I have to lose? Think about it. If you did it, that thing you were hesitant about doing, what do you have to lose? All right, you can go ahead and drop your comments down, your thoughts down in the chat, and let's support you so we can support you in going ahead and taking the leap. Another thing that we want to talk about is authenticity and integrity. Being authentic is not negotiable, is non-negotiable. In a world that often pressures us to conform, staying true to yourself and who we are is our superpower. There is so much going on in the world, but if you can show up as yourself, there may be some people that don't like you, and there'll be a lot more that do. But you do what you do. And throughout my career, I found that my most powerful asset is my authenticity, but it sometimes, for some reason, doesn't show up on internet. whether it's in the boardroom or behind the scenes, leading with integrity, I'm helping other people to walk in their authentic selves. And doing so has really helped me even to build genuine connections and lasting success. But you really, for me, the authenticity when it comes to my business has been quite different because of training, right? I was trained in a way where you don't put your business out on the internet. You don't put your business out in the streets. You don't talk politics. You don't talk religion. And so that's been a challenge in my being upfront and authentic online. It's not that I'm not authentic. I'm still me. You get a little joke here and there, but this is actually a part of me. So it's not separate and apart. It's not me trying to be different online than I am offline. No, this is me online. It's just that you don't see all the other parts of me necessarily online. But that is something that we're talking about, in creating your hit and you're creating your story. It's being able to shatter those limiting beliefs, being able to empower yourself through your own walk. So we talked about authenticity, we talked about courage and vision, and we also talked about resilience. And these are some traits that celebrities and other history makers have, and they don't limit themselves. And what I want to say about limiting yourself, don't do it. It's easier to get comfortable and be in your safe zone, and it is a lot harder to go beyond what you're used to doing and really stepping out and taking a leap of faith. And as we wrap up today's session, I want to leave you with one final thought. History isn't created overnight. It's built day by day, step by step, through unwavering determination and consistency. Every moment you choose to push forward, every risk you take, every lesson that you learn is a brushstroke on the canvas of your legacy. You are creating that legacy every day. So tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to commit to one action that will move you forward, closer to your big dream, and let that action be the spark that lights your path to history. Thank you for joining me here today on the Making of a Mompreneur show. Remember, you have the power to break free of your limiting beliefs, to lead with authenticity, and to make your mark. I'm Rasheeda Green, CEO of Get Right Coaching and the host of the Making of a Mompreneur show. I want you to keep pushing forward and never stop making history. Until next time.